Very good afternoon. Welcome back to Les Sables d'Olonne. The weather is very much on the turn now. We've had a long period of cold temperatures and winter now coming into a big winter storm coming in. Temperatures up and a little bit of rain around. It's over a week then since Charlie Dallin finished and Johan Richomme finished a week ago exactly. And things are getting complicated out on the race course and getting even more complicated. Jeremy Bayou is 450 miles from home. Things actually opening up for him not too badly, getting into some lighter breezes. He should be in tomorrow late. Good news for Sam Goodchild fans. He has a mainsail again. It's been repaired. Well, I'm going to ask you to watch this little video and try and keep your eyes dry.
Hello everyone. Still got the blue on my nose. We're making progress. So we've got a reinforcing plate on the luff of the sail. So that should take the load on the luff. Got the patches down the middle. And then I've now got a reinforcing plate on the back of the sail, which will take the load of the leap, so that we've got bolts that go through the top half of the sail, the bottom half of the sail, and both patches are put on, so all 4 layers that holds the whole lot together. And now the next mission is fix the battens. There's a batten that should be here, which I need to try and sort out. And then there's 2 or 3 other battens broken, so I need to try and fix those and let the glue dry a bit. A little update as the sun goes down. So we've had a pretty good day. We are just on the final battens here. So we've got a batten here and a couple patches. This is the glue going on a patch. And just doing, so we've got basically a full set of battens now. I think tomorrow morning we should be ready to hoist. I've got a bit of tidying up to do, the boat's a complete mess. We should be ready to hoist and try it out, see how it goes. I haven't really got much glue left, so it's this or it's going to be a long way home. Good morning. Not going to cry victory just yet, but a little one, just a little one. Got to get to Les Sables, but it feels good. Isn't that beautiful?
Very definitely a thing of beauty then. A small mainsail, but a big victory at the moment for Sam Goodchild. My guest today, starting off with Jack Boutell, double winner of the ocean race. Jack, I can see a tear in your eye.
Yeah, no, it's great to see him with the main back up. It's a pretty difficult thing to do, to repair something like that. We did it actually on 11th hour racing 2 years ago in the ocean race and split the main in half, and we had a big mission of a repair job similar to what Sam just did. And I can imagine, you know, him doing it on his own and still in big sort of strong wind conditions. Wouldn't have been an easy job, but really nice to see it back up, and hopefully he can keep ahead of some other competitors that he would have definitely lost if he hadn't been able to fix the main. So really nice to see.
I mean, even then, just looking at that video, we're watching the waves behind. It's pretty big. It's been pretty tough for him.
Yeah, for that whole group there, sort of around the Azores, the last couple of days have all been in really strong conditions and changeable. And, you know, the foiling boats are really hard in those conditions because you know, it's easy to say, oh, just slow down, but it's not always simple to do. You know, the boats become quite on and off, and depending on how much foil extension or retraction you have, you can end up with some really erratic sort of settings with the boat. So it's actually very difficult to sail the boats in those conditions, and then also how to sort of deal with how hard do you push, and also where do you want to end up within the system. Do you want to be further ahead for certain breeze conditions or further behind the system? So it's quite a complicated time weather-wise, and, you know, looking after the boat-wise, and also, you know, being so, you know, in reality so close to the finish yet still so far. You know, looks like you're sort of a couple of days away, and then, you know, for Sam something comes up like breaking your main in half, and then it, you know, just feels like you're back to square one again. So it's a very difficult time in the race, and tricky conditions.
And at the same time, we've still got Nico and Paul Mea only 20 miles apart. The balance for them is going to be interesting to watch. You know, they still have to push hard. There's still a place at stake.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always the difficult decisions to make in those sort of conditions. It is, how hard can you push? how well do you know your boat? How much sailing have you done of your boat in those conditions? How, tired and drained you are as physically and mentally. And yeah, it's just, what state the boat is in. Everyone's boats have had different problems and different things. And I'm sure there's things that we don't necessarily know about that haven't been sort of shared with the public media. So there's a lot going on for everyone, and you're pushing and you're nearly there, and it's never easy. It's always that constant stress just keeping you going.
Great insights, Jack. Our other guest is Bruno Dubois, who's the co-director of the Orient Express racing team. Bruno, just a very, very quick hello. We've got Sam Davies online from Initiative Kerr. Come back to you in just a few seconds. Sam, how are you?
I'm good. It's pretty tricky conditions. I'm going upwind, fast upwind in 30 knots, and I think it must be like 4.5 meter waves coming from all directions, and it's really unstable. I've actually just been a big squall, and so I've just set it up to calm down, because all my rigging alarms are going off every time I'm slamming off a wave. Every time I slam off the wave, all the computer USB disconnects as well. So if you keep hearing beeping, that's what that is.
Sam, in a few quick words, just tell us how it's looking for you to get into Les Sables d'Olonne over the next few days.
I don't know how I'm going to get into Les Sables d'Olonne, to be honest. It's actually looking okay to get to Les Sables d'Olonne and to the finish line. If I can manage to follow the routing that I'm running, I should arrive just ahead of a really big front, literally just like 1 or 2 hours ahead. And I'm pretty sure that the channel entrance will be too dangerous to go into. And so that's with the current weather forecast. So I'm kind of watching that, hoping that things are going to, in the forecast, are going to get a little bit better, to have a tiny window to get across the finish line and into a harbour safely. I'm looking at other options of where to go if I can't get into Les Sables d'Olonne, because the other option is having to wait, but there's so many depressions coming through, and they're so far south that waiting will probably mean waiting where I am right now, and it's too early to make that decision. Now. So it's really tricky, not necessarily for getting there, but in terms of a seamanship approach of having how to get the boat safely into port once I've got the finish line.
Sam, our fingers are crossed for you. Special guest today, Jack Boutell, would like to say hello, and also Bruno Dubois.
Hey Sambo, how you doing?
Having a tricky day today. It's not the most fun day on the Saturday.
No. It looks about the same as how the start of the Transat Jacques Vabre felt.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, but the sea snake is 10 times worse. And obviously the boat's a little bit more tired too. So it's not very easy, and it's pretty hard to get around the waves.
Yeah, can imagine. And I've been following you, but the boat's sort of holding up all right. You've had a few misses, but it looks like it's going to get you there nicely. But a few little bits and pieces to deal with, as always. But
yeah, mostly it's I've had issues with running rigging and a few bits and pieces of hardware, but and I've had a few issues with some electronics and autopilot. as well. I keep checking the structure because the boat is just taking a nailing. This boat slams so hard all the time. And it kind of feels a bit wobblier than it felt at the start, but I haven't managed to find any big cracks, so hopefully all is good. And yeah, we should make it in one piece to the finish. And yeah, it's kind of nice to be here. And for sure today, the 24 hours are really tricky, but I've got all my sails and all the equipment to be able to sail how I want. And that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's and to get on into Les Sables, I should be able to, after the next 24 hours are over, I should be able to enjoy the sailing for the rest of the race.
Sam, a quick hello from Bruno as well.
Hello, Sam. Nice to see you. You seems quite happy there.
She's always happy.
I'm not happy today. Today's probably the first day where I've been complaining because yeah, it's but I'm more just complaining because I'm worried about my boat, which is just taking a nailing today in these in this sea state, and for sure it's really dangerous to do anything on the boat today. So just like even answering this live call, you have to like get stuff and move around the boat, and that's just it's just dangerous, So, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I'm just trying to be and not hurt myself and not hurt the boat over the next 24 hours, and for sure I'm really enjoying this race, and it's going to be over so quickly. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the last run in to the finish, and it should be really good fun.
Sam, if it's day 73, I think it is, if it's the first time you're complaining, I think that's amazing. But thanks for talking to us today, and also great to have your communication with Jack and with Bruno. We'll talk to you in a few days, but enjoy yourself all the way into the end of the race, and we'll see you in Les Sables in a wee while. Thanks, Sam.
I think my satellite is struggling just as much as I am today. To keep the contact with the land.
Oh, well done. Anyway, thank you so much, Sam. We'll speak again in a few days. So, Jack, you're not amazed that Sam's still enjoying it on day 73 when conditions are the way they are?
No. Having sailed plenty with Sam, she always has a pretty good outlook on everything, and is always pretty happy out at sea. Even when it's really horrendous. When we did the Jacques Vabre a couple of years ago, we had some conditions at the first week which were pretty horrendous, and she was always sort of smile on the face, and there's times where you question whether you still want to do this as a job, but she was always has a smile on the face, which is really nice, and yeah, a big part of it, because it is a hard thing to do.
Jack, I'll come back to you in a few seconds, but Bruno, what are your thoughts on this race? This is such a big race with 40 starters. We've 6 boats dropped out, 3 finished. We've still got a big number of boats out there. What's your thoughts on the race?
It's interesting. I think this time, we can see that the boats are more and more reliable. It's very, very good to see that there's very little number of boats which stop. So that's good. I'm more impressed. Well, not more impressed, but I'm very impressed by the top 3, how they managed to get out there. And I'm sure they had some technical issue, but the way they push, and how much they managed to take out of the record from Armel. So it's quite impressive overall.
Is it sustainable at this size, particularly for the second half of the fleet, do we think?
I don't know. I don't know who I am to tell what to do and what not to do. Honestly, you know, this is a class which is run by the sailors, and that's the way it has to be. I'm still believe that, you know, technically, I'm sure there are some sailors who would love to develop the boat more, and they are blocked by a group of other sailors who don't want to spend the money. And, you know, for sure, you have to try to reduce the cost of the boat. And I think that's going to be the case now with sharing, you know, the mold. There's an incentive in the rules to share the molds. But overall, I think, you know, I know it's not really politically correct inside the class to talk about two class inside the class, but I would love to see a class where people have to compete to be in that class, to qualify to be in a class A, to race and win around the world, and another class where the objective is really to go around the world and to promote a purpose, to promote a sponsor, to promote an adventure, and because it's in fact what it is, you know. But I would love to see the boat continue to develop with elevator on the rudder to be more safe and to go faster. And that's what, as a competitor, most of the competitors, that's what they want to do. They want to push and develop and, you know, and get better boat, you know. So this year, you know, the boats are quite reliable. That's my view. But, you know, again, I'm not in the class, and who I am to take, you know, to make those kind of comments.
But it's an interesting perspective, and a quite a common perspective out in the outside world, as it were. Lots of talk on social media. Jack, in terms of the level that is set at the top of the fleet, how did the next group catch up? Or I mean, obviously there's a week differences due to the you know, the fact that the top group caught the weather system going into the Indian Ocean. But how do the next generation catch up with the top level?
For sure, I think it starts becoming about smaller and smaller gains. You know, I think when there was a foil put on the boat for the first time, it was obviously an enormous, you know, gain. And then the second generation of, third generation, fourth generation of foils, and each one gets better and better. But they're sort of now getting into little, you know, obviously smaller increments as everything gets more developed. It's harder and harder to find different gains. But I think it's the smaller gains now that are making the biggest difference. It's, you know, being able to push or being able to sort of have another 2% of boat speed, which might just keep you ahead of the system, you know, like what Johan and Charlie and Sebastian were able to do at the beginning of the Indian Ocean, at the beginning of the Southern Ocean. They were just able to be that bit faster, which kept them hooked into the, you know, the weather system for a bit longer, which got them ahead a little bit more. And it was just sort of little incremental gains, which then turned into an enormous gain when there's a full separation of a weather system. And, you know, the bigger gain that I saw that they then had out of that was the leaders were able to, which is sort of the first time really I think we've seen that on a round the world race in monohulls, where they were able to sail the boats fast enough to position themselves where they wanted to be compared to the weather system, the wind speed and the waves. Which is sort of more of a multi-hull thing, you know, sailing around the world in big multi-hulls. That's exactly what you do. You're happy to sail more distance to be where you want to be in certain sea states or wind speeds, and now we're able to start doing that in monohulls. So it's all those little gains. I think technical issues are a huge one, and how reliable your boat is. You know, Charlie and Johan had very few technical issues, and you know, little technical issues can cost huge amounts of time. You know, like obviously Sam Goodchild, case in point, you know, breaking the main, which is a huge one, but you know, he's you know, going to lose 3 to 4 places out of that. So you know, I think it's incremental gains and a very, very reliable boat technically.
Mm-hmm. Bruno, in terms of the transferable skills, as it were, do you see, for the sailors in particular, do you see more skills transfer between the Vendée Globe, the Ocean Race, the America's Cup and Olympic sailing in the way that we're hearing Frank Camas is talking about?
Yeah, I think when you look at the sailors right now, I think they are super pro, and they They talk nicely. They always have a good story to give. They're very well educated, and certainly all the top ones are good engineers who understand the boat very well. So I think it's going to be more and more when you look at the young kids coming from the Figaro and and some of them come from the Olympic. They want to go into the Vendée Globe. We'll have more and more, and the one who have been involved in the America's Cup, you understand the new system with the foil and the way to develop the boat on that side. So I think we'll get future boat will go faster than the one that we had we have seen here this time.
We'll see more transference between the different disciplines, as it were, as generations come on. Now then, Clarisse Cremer is sailing a really solid race. For her at the moment, for Clarisse, it's just starting to feel a little bit like so near yet so far. This is Clarisse earlier on today.
It's a bit bumpy.
Yeah, I see that.
It's quite quite a tough sea state, 5 meters of swell. And we are going reaching upwind, so it's not easy, but it's still quite warm, so that's nice. When you see how rough the very small crabs of the low pressure are, I can't imagine how it's been in the middle of this low pressure.
So you're in a good place now, but I imagine that now it's so near and so far from the finish, in some respects.
Exactly, so near and so far. It's never been so near and never been so far in the same time, because you always imagine your arrival, having time to clean the boat, having time to realize what we're going to do. It's nothing exactly like that it's going to happen, I'm afraid. It's going to be quite rough just until the end. So with so many systems to cross and so many things to do, that well, at least it goes fast. You're never bored. But yeah, there are a lot of question marks still about this arrival. I don't know if I'm going to make it in time to arrive before the big storm.
What's your strategy then? Your philosophy? In terms of how hard you push?
I'm going to push as hard as I can, and if I have to slow down at some point to let the pressure go ahead of me, I will. But it's not the time to do that yet. I have to try. I'm still trying at the moment. I still have hope.
And do you still have moments when you enjoy it, or do you just want to be finished?
To be honest, I'm really focused on the arrival now. It's super hard to. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not in a bad situation, but it's not the same as when you're, far away in your mind, connected to the ocean. I feel a bit disconnected already. But I'm trying to fight this feeling, because it's not a good feeling to have. You want to be focused up until the very last minute.
So look at the weather, first of all, for Jeremy Biou, just coming into Cape Finisterre this morning. The situation improving in terms of the wind strength. He's ahead of the low pressure system, which is largely cut off now and is not moving as much. So Biou coming into Cape Finisterre, lighter breezes, and will come into the high pressure which develops just in front of him. Otherwise, they're looking at the group behind, then it's a little bit more testing for them. But generally, this high pressure ridge developing into Les Sables d'Olonne, giving them decent conditions. Not so good for the second part of this group, but with these boats coming in here. So we've got Justine and the two vulnerables. They're coming in. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because they have the strong winds behind. And also then this group further back, so Benjamin Dutroux, Clarisse, Sam and Boris, really looking at the next big low pressure system. It's going to be critical timing for them. In particular, Sam pretty much on the cusp, and she'll have to push really hard to get in. Boris, of course, can slow down because he's got no one immediately pressing him behind. Otherwise, for the group coming into the equator and just coming out of the doldrums, well, a good situation now for Roman Atanasio. The others coming out of the doldrums, which are quite south, quite active, but generally as they get north, it's not so bad. Other than that, for the other group of daggerboard boats back here, it's still A little bit of uncertainty coming out of the thunderstorms and so on, just to the north of Cabo Frio, but otherwise, in general, no big weather situations for the group further back. There we go. Jack, a few more words on the weather situation then for this group coming in. It's pretty complicated, and then another low coming in.
Yeah, I think they're going to have some strong conditions all the way, and then sort of as Sam, briefly brought up, actually finishing the race is going to be quite difficult because they'll probably be able to cross the line in acceptable conditions, but actually to get into port, and I'm sure everyone that has seen Les Sables d'Olonne or has been to Les Sables d'Olonne with any sort of sea state there, it's sort of breaking waves across the entrance of the harbour. So there's quite a high chance of not being able to actually dock into Les Sables d'Olonne. So there's best case is eventually there's she can get in fast enough, or the system slows down and she could get into Les Sables d'Olonne. Or second is sort of being able to finish and then maybe get to La Rochelle and then come back to Les Sables d'Olonne a few days later. Or worst case is if the system speeds up or degrades, it might be a full seamanship sort of thought process and actually slow down and wait for it, because the thing is sort of once they come into the Bay of Biscay and into the coast, they're then sort of committed. They're sort of hard to get back offshore. They'll then be on a lee shore, which is a dangerous place to be with sort of that sort of weather coming in. So you sort of got no options to run away, which will be a difficult thing to manage.
It will be. It's going to be interesting over the next week or 10 days to see how things pan out. Bruno, tell me, the Vendée Globe and the America's Cup, is there any synergy between them in terms of the general interest in sailing in France?
Yeah, I think, overall sailing is big in France, and it's, it's Vendée Globe, Ultime and America's Cup. People are interested by everything, and also by SailGP is the same thing. It's about the competition. We have a lot of interaction between the America's Cup with the design team, and the people who are working with us in the America's Cup are people who have been working also on Vendée Globe, IMOCA, and Ultime. So in our team, we have a lot of cross relationship between those events. So it's not like the other team like Alinghi or the Italian or the American and the Kiwi, who are really specified, working on one environment. In France, we have the chance to touch a little bit different style of sailing, which is really good overall.
But overall, it's a very healthy ecosystem in France, and I think the envy of the rest of the world.
It is a very interesting place to be, and I hope it's not going to change. I hope France, especially the Orient region, where the sailing valley, will continue to push and not becoming complacent to say, okay, this is the center of the world. Right now, it is the center of the world in sailing, but in order to stay center of the world, you have to keep pushing, and it's good. I think we're coming with Orient Express racing team. We're coming to Lorient to establish the team down there. So it's going to be amazing, because all the people working in our team will be in connection with the offshore environment, and not only with the sailor, but also with the supplier, the company who are working there. So there is a lot of, like we said in French, système embarqué, automatic system that we have work on the America's Cup, which is going to be used more and more in the IMOCA and in the Ultime. So I think it's a sort of circular economy that we are working on, which is pretty good.
For sure, as I say, Bruno, the envy of the world. Now then, our Chinese skipper, Shin Kun Xu, is still in quite light winds, but he's making the most of the light winds and the sunshine, and this is Shin Kun Xu. So looking at the midday rankings, Jeremy Bou on course. He has now got 180 miles clear of Paul Meha. Meha now has 24 miles ahead of Nico Lundvin, so a little bit of a gap between them now. Sam Goodchild holding out for the moment, but under pressure from Justine Metro. There's only about 23 miles between Sam and Justine. Justine, of course, approaching at stronger speeds. Sam Davies up to 12th now, Boris down to 13th. Otherwise, Isabel Josh up to 16th now. Tongi Laturki leading the Daggerboard boats, but has still got to Benjamin Ferry, only 7 miles behind. Giancarlo Pedotti in 19th, Alan Rura in 20th. Alan still going fast. Conrad Coleman in 22nd, catching up with the boats in front. Kojiro Shiraishi in 25th. Our other internationals, Shin Kun Xu in 30th, like having a good battle with the other boats at the back with Antoine Cornic and Oliver here. So he's very much in the race, and Denis van Veenberg in 34th. Indeed, that's the ranking just now. So, Bruno, what have you got on this this year? What's your next targets? How many have you got?
No, I'm full on SailGP. We just came back from Auckland, where we were supposed to launch our new boat, but then there was a structural issue with the wing, so we'll be back in Sydney in a couple of weeks. That's my main focus, and also with K Challenge, we established a platform which gonna help the youth and the Women America's Cup and other projects also. So the team continue, and we're moving to Orient, but mainly it's a SailGP for me this year.
Great stuff. Thanks, Bruno. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. And Jack, what's your plans? Will we see you in the TJV with Sam again? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're discussing that. I'm actually running a 100-foot race boat at the moment called V. So busy with that at the moment. But yeah, still in plenty of contact with Sam and a few other teams, and obviously still working away at trying to get my own Amoca project off the ground. So for sure, trying to keep the hand in the offshore scene, and as always working on my own project. So we'll see how it all comes together this year, but plenty going on for sure.
Certainly great to have you both. Great insights from both of you, and hopefully we'll catch up over the course of the coming sailing season. So that's all we have time for today. My guest tomorrow will indeed be Pip Hare, who's joining us here in Les Sables d'Olonne, and will be involved with some of the finishes over the next few days. So join us again tomorrow, same time, 13:30 UTC, 14:30 here in France. We'll see you then.